To be a true functional all-round athlete, or as we call it, a master generalist, you need to continue developing the 5 pillars of the Alchemy Athletic System: maximal strength, power and athleticism, functional bodybuilding, interval or sprint conditioning, and adventure readiness. Making all of these components better at the same time is difficult, but it's not impossible with the right ratio and balance. So today I'm going to walk you through the entire weekly training split that I've refined over the last few years. So through the execution of 5 arduous sessions weekly, you can turn yourself into the ultimate master generalist. Let's go. Okay, so I am back here at MCM Elite in Spain, just outside Murcia, and basically what I'm going to do, I'm actually at the end of my deload week at the moment, which is something I'm a big advocate of. We're talking about that in a separate video, but basically today I'm going to go through pretty quick time my entire weekly training split, and I'm basically going to show you with warm-up weights basically what everything would look like. So as an example, session 1 of the week on a Monday would be your lower body max day. This can start nice comprehensive warm-up as you'd assume. I won't walk you through that stuff, but effectively exercise 1 on your lower body max day will be your heavy compound lift of the day. This is where between 3 and 6 reps, we're going to go for what's called the ascending bar method. This means that we're not really chasing a certain number. You'll have a rough idea in your head of what things will look like, but effectively pick a certain rep range. Obviously there'll be progressions with this, but say you're doing 4 reps as an example, you just keep adding weight until you can no longer complete 4 reps. That decreases kind of the volume of intensity a little bit by the fact that you've effectively only got 1 super heavy set, but obviously you're working your way up. So aim for getting that on effectively kind of what is probably your 5th or 6th kind of set from the warm-up. But I'm going to choose safety bar squats for today. Again, warm-up weights in the bar for me, but effectively get used to the movement pattern in the early reps, or in the early sets, I should say, nice and tight, and 4 reps, and then effectively having a little bit more rest all the way up until you can no longer do 4 without dying. Let's do that now. And section 2 of the lower body session is the superset between a unilateral exercise and the hip extension exercise. Unilateral for lower body basically means a single leg exercise. This could be a lunge, step up, or Bulgarian split squat, or some kind of variation of that. So anywhere between 10 and 15 reps each side here, supersetted with a hip extension movement. I wouldn't usually go for standard deadlifts, but something like a kettlebell swing or an RDL is perfect. 15 reps again. 2 minutes break, 3 rounds. And the third and final section of the lower body session is what's called the lap finisher, the lactic aerobic pump finisher. 3 different movement patterns that I kind of blend together into this disgusting little assortment. A high range squat variation, invariably a cyclist squat for me, as I need to alleviate range of motion at the ankle here. 20 reps is a sweet spot for me right now. Straight into a carry of some sort, 20 meters with about 50 kilos each side and a dumbbell each hand, and straight into some jump lunges. Both unilateral and dynamic, tying these 2 things together. Genuinely pretty brutal. Only 60 seconds rest, which is not going to feel like enough here. 2 to 3 rounds of this, and this might not sound like much volume, but it is a disgusting way to finish off everything below your hips. Okay, so on to session 2 of the week now. We're on to the upper body workout, guys, the max upper body session. So we're going to start with, as you would probably assume, with a maximum compound lift. So ascending bar, very similar to the safety bar squats that you just saw. Effectively, as an example, say we were doing bench today, between 3 and 6 again. So say 4 reps, continue to add weight until you could no longer do 4 reps. And again, 5th or 6th total set, that's probably when you want to hit your max. That's kind of what you're looking for realistically. But obviously in regards to rest period, they're not always direct. Basically, if you're aiming for about 120 for 4 as an example, if you do 60 kilos for a warm up for 4, 5, 6 reps or whatever, you don't need 3.5 minutes before you then go up to 80. So obviously be smart with it. But here's another interesting point, guys. After about 80% of your 1 rep max, when you're working above 80% of your 1 rep max for whatever rep range, realistically you probably need between 2.5 and 3 minutes break. So whatever compound it is, bench, incline bench, shoulder press, 4 reps is the perfect flipping golden number where you're getting that strength benefit, but you're also packing on some lean muscle mass in the process. Okay, that's section 1 done, so on to section 2 of the session. So now we're basically going for functional hypertrophy or hypertrophy, depending on your pronunciation. Mine changes all the bloody time. Supersets. So 1 push, 1 pull, as you'd expect. However, the only real caveat for this is the push movement you're doing. Try to make it basically the opposite movement pattern to the one that you did for your main compound. So as an example, I've just done bench notionally, which is a horizontal push. If that's the main compound exercise is a horizontal push, try to do your functional hypertrophy superset push movement. So this, as an overhead, is a vertical push. Could be anything, Viking press, barbell, dumbbell, whatever. But basically, 1, whatever the movement pattern is for the compound, If it's horizontal, do vertical and vice versa. But we're actually going to do the pull movement first. This is where, again, the intensity goes down slightly, but the rep range is definitely going up. So we're not around 4s, 5s, 6s anymore, we're around 12s. That's what I'm working on right now. So 12 to 15 reps on the pull and probably about 12 reps on the push. Today, I'm just gonna do some chest supported row and some Arnold press because I like it. 3 rounds, and again, probably about 2 minutes between. I like to keep this fairly metabolic. My upper body recovers quite quickly. So say 15 reps on the pull, 12 reps on the push, 2 minutes, 3 rounds. That's a pretty decent chunk of volume. Once again, if you're making sure that you're challenging yourself properly. So the third and final section of this session is basically our equivalent now for the lactic aerobic pump finisher, so the lap finisher. A couple of different movements that we're going to do. Basically an isolated bicep exercise, isolated tricep exercise, isolated mid delt, so some lat raises basically, and to finish off with a core. Different positions on grip, different positions of the upper arm for bicep and tricep. Lat raises, I just basically mix up the rep range. It's very much based on feel, and considering this is like 1% of it and so much of the work is already done, if I fancy going a bit heavier and doing 10s, cool. If I fancy doing 25s, cool, it doesn't really matter. So biceps of about 15, triceps of about 15, lat raises of about the same, and then core for about 20. That polishes off the upper body session, guys. You get an unbelievable strength stimulus, real good quality flipping neural training in there, the appropriate amount of kind of muscular damage and metabolic tension, an appropriate amount of mechanical tension and muscular damage in the middle bit, and then some good quality metabolic stress and tissue perfusion, lactic tolerance and pump work to finish off with. And now Wednesday is very much a change of pace after I've done 2 heavy days of lifting for lower and upper body sessions. And now we're basically onto the gym-based conditioning day. So the way that I like to start this session, actually to kind of get a bit of tissue perfusion, is to do a legs push-pull tricep. So what we are going to do, it doesn't really matter what they are, right? The intention is just to get enough blood pumping to the areas. So you get a good metabolic effect from that by the fact that your body's shunting all of its blood up to the upper body and the chest and the shoulders, and then to the back and the biceps, and then to the legs. And that process called PHA is very metabolic. So keeping the recovery time or the rest periods between each section, kind of that transition time fairly low, is key. So all we're going to do, simply 3 rounds of this, almost done as a circuit. Sled, push, pull, and then I'm going to do 10 reps each side on a single arm kettlebell press, and then I'm going to do 10 pull-ups. Simple as that. 3 rounds, maybe 20 to 30 seconds in between, just a bit of a shake off. But that's basically section 1 of this 3rd session, which is gym-based conditioning. Section 2, the middle bit of the gym-based conditioning session, is basically a CCC or a compound carry conditioning in the form of an EMOM. Do not panic if all of that sounds like flipping hieroglyphics in Arabic. I will explain. So basically compound carry condition, 3 different forms or modalities of exercise, and EMOM, which is basically every minute on the minute, that is the way that we're going to do things. So compound carry condition, and the 4th minute is actually rest. So we're basically going to do a compound exercise that takes us about 30 to 40 seconds, a carry that takes us about 30 to 40 seconds, and a conditioning piece that takes us between 50 and 55. So I like to sprint for this little bit, which is why that 4th minute is actually a rest period. So it's basically a 4-minute rotation. So if you do this rotation 3 times, it will take you 12 minutes. If you do it 4 times, it will take you 16 as an example. So say you only do it 3 times if you're kind of getting used to it, 12 minutes total. Compound exercise today, I am basically going to do heavy dumbbell RDLs. The carry, I'm basically going to do a single arm suitcase carry, so kind of working my core as much as anything else, kind of 12 meters, turn around, 12 meters back, but slow and controlled. And then condition, I'm going to effectively try and do 22 calories on the rower in 55 seconds, making sure that I earn that 4th minute of rest, resting the whole of minute 4, and then straight back into it for minute 5. This is the middle part, section 2 of the gym-based conditioning session. And section 3 of session 3, the final part of the gym-based conditioning workout, we are basically going to do an AMRAP. So as you see, guys, we've basically decreased the intensity and increased the volume as we've gone on. So we had the push-pull legs to start with, a little bit more intense, just 3 rounds of that, compound carry conditioning, a little bit more volume, but probably not as neurally intense at the very least. And now what I'm going to do, finish off anywhere between 12 and 20 minutes. Doesn't really matter. I just like having something that's time-based on this. So for me, one of the things I'm flipping loving at the moment is basically 20 minutes on the bike. Every 2 minutes, I get off and I do something. So as an example, to say if I was just going to get off and I was going to do 10 burpees, say that took me, I don't know, 35 seconds from seat to seat. I then basically got 1 minute 25 back on the bike, building up as many calories or meters as you can or whatever. So basically steady state, but it's what's called mixed modality steady state. It's not the same thing. It's not monostructural. You're not just doing one thing. You're basically attempting to maintain a level of intensity the whole way through this 12 to 20 minute window. However, don't get too bored. Mix it up with a couple of different exercises. Which brings us to day 4, the 4th and final day in the gym. So basically, this is a full body hypertrophy day. So even compared to the numbers that we were working around Monday and Tuesday with the upper and lower kind of like max and functional hypertrophy stuff, the rep ranges are significantly higher now, closer to what you would consider for normal functional or even metabolic like bodybuilding stuff, right? So we're looking at anywhere between kind of like 10, 15, even 20 on some of this. I have messed around with so many flipping structures and approaches for this, and I keep coming back to the same thing, which is for lower body, pick one particular exercise. Really doesn't matter what it is. Try to make sure it's fairly balanced. As an example, I wouldn't do RDLs, which basically don't work the quads at all, but something that is going to be a compound movement that works everything. Could be unilateral, could be bilateral, doesn't really matter. But effectively today, notionally, I'm going to do front squats. And what I am going to do is pick around about 60% of my 1 rep max. And I'm effectively just going to go for anywhere between 30 and 50 reps. And you try to basically get this done in as short a time window as possible. This is flipping gruesome. So obviously take breaks as and when you need. The caveat for this, don't go all the way to failure. Try to make sure you've got anywhere between 2 and 4 reps in reserve by the time that you re-rack the bar, because if you go to complete failure, you're flipping written off for a couple of minutes, whereas 2 reps shy, you rack the bar, you're flipping ready to go again in 20 to 30 seconds. Make sure it's full range. Don't really worry about setting a particular time target. If this is one of the first 10 times you've ever done this, you are going to get an unbelievable metabolic bodybuilding workout from this. Lower body build, effectively this is half the session on its own. And once this is done, you can drag your barely breathing carcass over to the upper body area to do the following. Number 1, a push movement. I love incline bench for this right now. Supersetted with a pull movement, and usually any horizontal row is fine for this. And complete the following. Select a weight that you think you can do about 15 reps of unbroken. So what is effectively your 15 rep max? Don't worry, first of all, for those of you that are a little bit more data-driven and cerebral, this is not an exact science. Basically a ballpark figure here is fine. And then complete as many reps of both the push and the pull as you can in a given time frame of around about 10 to 12 minutes. So basically a 10 to 12 minute AMRAP alternating between the push and the pull. 2 bits of advice on this, guys. First of all, try and match the rep range as you go through. Don't do 10 incline bench and then flipping 3 row or something. Try to keep it fairly even. Obviously, it's not always going to be completely even, and the chances are your push levers are going to give out and take longer to recover than your pull levers, but that's fine. But just try and mitigate the delta as much as you can. And the second thing is never, ever, ever go completely to failure, because you just fucking write yourself off. So always, every single set that you're doing when you're alternating in this particular upper body pump build paradigm, try and leave 2 to 3 reps in the tank before you kind of re-rack the bar and then move on. Literally having 2 to 3 reps in the tank will mean that you've just got enough energy to kind of quickly recover. If you truly go completely to failure, the chances are you're just going to be completely written off. So this entire full body hypertrophy session only needs to last anywhere between kind of 30 and 35 minutes, which for those of you that are like, you can't get a benefit in that amount of time, this is one of the most dense workouts you can possibly do, and it is incredible for the metabolic stress that is required to build muscle tissue. And the 5th and final session is based around the adventure readiness principle. So this one is about making sure that we get outside, it's about making sure that we get some fresh air, get some sunlight on our skin, and hopefully get ourselves out in nature. So this is a little bit more zone 2 focused. This can be anywhere from, I don't know, 45 minutes up to about 3 hours, based more on kind of personal preference. And really the sponsoring objective here is about obviously developing that aerobic base with zone 2. So Typically heart rate zones anywhere between 120 and 140 and just kind of holding it there, conversational pace. But it's about parking your mind and kind of getting yourself out in nature as much as anything else. So I like to do this on the hills if I can. I don't really want to do my adventure readiness work and feel as though I'm a flipping robust male athlete by walking up and down country paths and roads. I like to get on the hills, I like to get on the trails, walk up and down some mountains if there are any near me, and really just reinforce that we are capable of handling ourselves in nature. So there we go, guys, a 5-session overview. Hope you did enjoy, and if you did enjoy this video, please do smash that like button. Lots of content today, so please, any comments or questions or anything, please put it down in the comment section below. If you have not yet done so, make sure you subscribe. Why not check out one of my other videos just up here and spend the next 15 minutes of your life enjoying me talk about something else. And as always, fitness legends, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I'll see you all in the next video.